Stop chasing validation. Start owning your presence. The biggest mistake you might be making right now is believing you must be understood. You've been spending your energy explaining yourself, defending your choices, and waiting for someone else's approval, all while your peace, purpose, and power quietly slip away. Here's the truth. The more you chase validation, the further you drift from your own voice. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop trying to be seen is when people finally start to notice. Carl Jung once said, "He who looks outside dreams, he who looks inside awakens." Buddhism doesn't teach us to fight for attention, it teaches us to return to ourselves. And when you do, something changes. You stop reacting. You stop needing. Your presence begins to speak louder than any explanation ever could. This message is for those who are tired of being drained by every opinion, shaken by every judgment, or crushed by every rejection. Ask yourself, what happens when your silence becomes more powerful than your explanations? What happens when you stop chasing and start becoming? Before we continue, subscribe to Insightful Journey, where every video opens the door to inner calm, clarity, and Buddhist insight you won't find anywhere else. Stay until the end for a bonus habit that, once mastered, quietly shocks everyone, without a single word. Lesson: silence is the language of the strong. What if your silence carried more truth than your words ever could? We live in a world that mistakes noise for confidence, where people shout to be seen and speak endlessly just to be understood. But the Buddha reminds us, silence is the language of the strong. Like a deep, still lake, reflecting the sky above, your inner stillness carries more truth than any argument or defense. Yet, how often do we throw away our peace just to respond? You don't need to prove anything. A mountain does not chase the wind. It does not explain its stillness. It does not bend when storms pass. It simply stands, fully, quietly, unshaken. This is the forgotten power, focusing on yourself, not to isolate, but to return home. When you stop chasing the noise outside, a shift happens. You start to notice, not everyone needs to hear you, but you must hear yourself. In Buddhist practice, silence isn't absence, it's presence without disturbance. Try sitting for just 2 minutes. No music, no words, no distractions. Not to escape the noise, but to hear what's left when it's gone. What rises within you when nothing is there to pull you away. That stillness isn't emptiness, it's the place you meet your truth. The modern world calls silence laziness, withdrawal, weakness, but those who walk the path know it takes courage to be still, discipline to not react, strength to listen deeply. And when you no longer explain your solitude, boundaries, or growth, people won't understand, because this kind of peace can't be performed. It's cultivated, one breath at a time. Maybe you've been filling your life with noise to avoid a truth you weren't ready to face. Maybe now you are. Lesson 2, letting go, the quiet courage. Pause for a moment and ask yourself gently, are you filling your silence because you're afraid of what it might reveal? Or could that same silence be the doorway to your clarity, your healing, your transformation? The Buddha said, the wise ones who are ever meditative attain perfect peace and freedom, not by shouting louder, but by hearing deeper. Let today be a turning point, not a loud announcement to the world, but a quiet return to yourself. Let your actions speak. Let your calmness answer. Let your life become your silent revolution. Because when you anchor yourself in stillness, the world notices, not because you demand it, but because real power never has to be spoken. Why does the tightest grip often bring the greatest pain? We cling because we fear change, fear endings, fear the question of who we'll be without what we've attached ourselves to. But the truth is, the more tightly we hold, the more we suffer. Try holding water in a clenched fist. It slips away, leaving only emptiness and strain. Buddhism teaches us, letting go is not defeat. Letting go is an act of courage. There is a quiet bravery in release. When you let go of what once defined you, you are not giving up. You are giving yourself permission to grow, to heal, to breathe again. Pain rarely comes from the loss itself. It comes from refusing to release it. That which you grip will cut you. That which you release will carry you. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture one burden, one memory, one attachment weighing heavy on your heart. Now place it into a flowing stream in your mind. Watch as the current carries it away, softly, slowly, without a fight. This is how the wise live. They do not wrestle with the river. They trust it. What's meant to stay, what's meant to go, goes, clearing space for something truer, lighter, and more aligned with who you're becoming. The mind will resist. But what if I need this? What if I'm nothing without it? This is illusion. What belongs to your soul never needs to be clung to. It stays naturally, and what leaves so life can hand you something better. So ask yourself gently, what are you holding on to that's already trying to leave? A relationship, an identity, an old version of yourself. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is not show the strength to hold on, but the grace to let go, without resentment, without drama, without explanation. The Buddha taught, you only lose what you cling to. When you no longer fear the falling away, you rise in a new form, more grounded, more whole, more free. People may not understand your silence or your calm. They may wonder how you remain unshaken. But it's because you've stopped grasping and started flowing. Let go, not to escape, but to evolve. And something remarkable happens. Your energy shifts. Your life realigns. You begin to walk lighter, carrying a strength so deep that it needs no words. In the end, it's not how tightly you held on that will define you. It's how gracefully you let go and trusted the current to carry you home. If you're unsure what to say, simply type, "My growth speaks silently." Lesson: peace is louder than reaction. What if your calm was your loudest boundary? In a noisy world, people expect you to react, fast, loud, and without thinking. But Buddhist wisdom teaches something else entirely. Peace is not passive. Peace is the calm you carry in moments of provocation is not weakness, it's mastery. A lit torch never argues with the wind. It simply burns. Your peace is not hiding your strength. It is your strength. Like a candle in a storm, you are not kept alive by fighting the wind, but by protecting your own flame. Be that candle. Lesson 4. The power of non-reaction. You can choose not to be disturbed, not because you are numb, but because you are free. When someone tries to pull you into their storm, you do not have to lose yourself. You don't have to defend every truth. You don't have to respond to every shadow. Sometimes, the loudest statement is made in silence. Sometimes, the most powerful move is no move at all. We are taught to prove ourselves, to justify, to fight for our place. But the moment you stop reacting, something shifts. People notice. They become curious. Why aren't you responding? Why are you so And in that stillness, you reveal something they can't quite grasp. You are no longer controlled by the external. You have become anchored within. Try this today. When you feel the tension rise, pause. Just one breath. Just one moment between impulse and reaction. In that small sacred space, you will find yourself. That space is your freedom. That space is your wisdom. That space is where your peace lives. Ask yourself gently, who am I when I don't react? Who am I without rushing to defend, to explain, to fight back? You are presence, you are awareness. You are not the noise, you are the one who hears it. And when you step into the role of the witness, not the warrior, something profound happens. Your energy changes, your focus sharpens, your path clears. The Buddha said, "Those who are free of resentful thoughts surely find peace." So what if peace was your boundary? Not raised voices, not drawn lines. Just quiet clarity that says, I do not go where my peace cannot follow. Focus on yourself, not with ego, but with sacred awareness. Practice non-reaction. not to prove a point, but to stay rooted in your truth. People may not understand, they may even push harder, but eventually, they will see. There is nothing more shocking than someone who cannot be shaken. Let your calm be your revolution. Let your stillness speak, because when the world is loud, and you remain unbothered, your silence becomes thunder. You don't owe the world an explanation. Why does explaining yourself feel so exhausting? There's a quiet kind of fatigue that comes from always having to justify your choices, your path, your boundaries, even your silence. It's as if the world demands a reason for every breath you take. But here's the truth. You don't owe the world an explanation. The tree does not explain its stillness to the storm. It bends when it must, stands when it can, and grows in its own time, never once announcing the reason for each new leaf. And so can you. You too can grow without narrating your every step. Much of our energy is wasted trying to be understood, trying to prove that we are good, kind, right, capable, wise. But real peace begins when you stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. The Buddha didn't go door to door convincing people of enlightenment. He walked his path, quietly, steadily, and those ready to see, followed. Like the moon, you are allowed to go through phases. You can shine bright one day, and vanish into darkness the next. You can retreat, you can re-emerge. You can change without offering a single explanation why. Not everyone will understand your silence, and that's okay. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to be aligned with your truth. Try this. The next time someone misreads your stillness, your no or your boundary, let it be. Don't chase their approval. Don't rush to clarify. Just notice what your silence teaches you about where your energy truly belongs. In that moment, you reclaim something precious, your focus, your calm, your inner authority. Ask yourself gently, what am I still trying to prove, and to whom? Is this coming from my heart, or from my fear? When you shift your focus from proving your worth to protecting your peace, you become untouchable, not because you've closed off, but because you've healed. The Buddha said, "A man is not called wise because he talks and talks again, but if he is peaceful, loving, and fearless, then he is in truth called wise." True wisdom doesn't defend itself, it doesn't explain, it simply radiates. And those meant to receive your truth will feel it, even in your silence. So focus inward, not to distance, but to deepen. Let the world voice its opinions. Let the noise rise and fall. You're not here to match it. You're not here to convince. You are here to become. And that silently changes everything. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My growth speaks silently." Lesson: master yourself, or be mastered by the world. Why does one sharp word ruin your day? One failure steals your peace. One opinion shakes your confidence. It's because without inner mastery, we live at the mercy of everything outside us. Buddhist wisdom has always been simple on this. Master yourself, or be mastered by the world. Until you learn to guide your own mind, life will pull you in every direction, and you won't even realize it. Your mind is not your enemy, but left untamed, it becomes like a wild horse, powerful, fast, and unpredictable. It doesn't run toward your dreams, it runs away from your peace. An untamed horse tramples direction. It exhausts the caravan. It creates chaos. But once you take the reins with patience, with care, that same force becomes a vehicle of quiet strength. So too with your mind. Start here. Notice your reactions, not with judgment, but with awareness. The next time a thought storms in, or an emotion swell like a wave, pause. Ask yourself, who is steering this moment, me or the emotion? Every pause is a chance to reclaim the reins. Every time you respond with clarity instead of reacting from habit, you take one step out of the prison of reactivity and into the freedom of mastery. Most people live as prisoners of what they feel. They shrug and say, "That's just the way I am," or "I had no choice." That's the illusion. The truth is, every emotion is a visitor. It comes, it stays, it leaves. Whether it drags you with it depends on whether you've learned to hold the reins. Every thought is a cloud. Every thought is a cloud, and you are the sky, the unshaken witness. You choose whether to follow that cloud or let it drift by. Ask yourself quietly, do I act or do I only react? When your actions are rooted in alignment, they are steady, deliberate, powerful. But when life becomes a chain of reactions, you are like a leaf blown by every passing wind, never still, never certain, never free. The Buddha said, though one should conquer 1,000,000 men in battle, he who conquers himself is the greatest of conquerors. Self-mastery is not cold control, it is compassionate awareness. It is knowing your own patterns, your wounds, your peace, and choosing to act from wisdom, not compulsion. So focus inward, not from fear, but from love. Not to control life, but to meet it with clarity. You don't need to escape the world, you only need to stop being ruled by it. And when you do, something subtle yet profound happens. You begin to move differently, speak less, yet say more. Choose calm over chaos. And without effort, the world notices, not because you demanded it, but because your presence shifts. The one who has mastered themselves needs no crown to be recognized as powerful. Lesson 6. Detach, not because you don't care, but because you do. What if true care meant letting things be exactly as they are? We often confuse attachment with love, believing that to care deeply is to hold tightly, that to be invested, we must be in control. But Buddhist wisdom teaches the opposite. Detach, not from indifference, but from deep compassion. To love someone with open hands instead of a clenched grip is one of the highest acts of love. Attachment is not love. Attachment is fear wearing love's mask, fear of loss, fear of change, fear of the unknown. True love is spacious. It allows growth in its own time. Like a wise gardener, you do not force a flower to bloom. You water, you wait, you trust the process. You care, not by controlling, but by being quietly present. Still, the mind resists. It whispers, if I let go, they'll leave. If I stop managing everything, it will fall apart. But has control ever given you peace? Or has it only made your love conditional? The moment you release the need to manage and manipulate every outcome, something softer takes root, a deeper understanding, a quieter strength. You begin to see others, not for how they could serve your hopes, but for who they already are. Try this. Today, look at just one person, without the filter of what you want from them. Don't wish they were more attentive, more present, more perfect. Simply see them, without agenda, without need. Notice how this simple act changes you. Notice the softening inside you. Then ask yourself gently, am I attached to this person, or to the story I want them to fulfill? Am I loving them, or am I trying to rewrite my past through them? It's not an easy truth, but it's a liberating one. When you drop the story, what remains is clarity. And from clarity, love becomes pure again. Not to fix, not to keep, simply to witness, to honor. Letting go, love without fear. The Buddha taught, you only lose what you cling to. So perhaps letting go isn't the end of love at all. Perhaps it's the beginning, the start of a love no longer built on fear. A love that doesn't demand, that doesn't suffocate, that doesn't depend on constant reassurance. When you focus on yourself, it's not about abandoning others, it's about devotion to your own peace. And when you release the need to control, something changes. You become present, you become gentle, you become free, and that freedom is felt by everyone around you. They sense something rare, a quiet, steady openness. Because when you stop trying to hold everything together with your hands, You become the space where everything can grow naturally. That is the kind of love that doesn't need to speak, yet still changes everything. Lesson 7. Stillness disturbs the unsettled. Why do people react when you finally choose peace? There's a strange discomfort that unsettles those who thrive on chaos when they meet someone no longer triggered by it. When you stop engaging in the familiar arguments, when you stop explaining your stillness, when you stop dancing in the drama they expect, you become a disruption to their pattern. Stillness disturbs the unsettled. Because real peace is not passive, it is powerful. Those who have not found it will feel threatened by its presence. The calm person doesn't need to raise their voice or defend their truth. Their energy speaks louder than their words, and in a world that finds comfort in chaos, deep stillness feels like confrontation, not because it attacks, but because it reflects what others have not yet mastered. A silent bell in a screaming room becomes deafening, not because it rings, but because it doesn't. Many people aren't looking for connection, they're looking for reaction. They want to pull you into their storm to prove they still have control over your emotions. But when you remain still, when you refuse to fight, to defend, or to collapse into old patterns, something powerful happens. You no longer belong to their story. You've stepped out of the script. You've chosen peace over participation. Try this. When someone pushes your boundaries, challenges your quiet, or tests your center, stay still, not out of pride, not wielding silence as a weapon, but standing in truth. Watch how it confuses chaos. Watch how it reveals what is theirs and what is yours. Because the moment you realize your peace isn't a performance, it becomes real. Ask yourself softly, is my peace only alive when life is calm, or does it remain even when the room shakes? The true test of peace is not how still you sit in meditation, it's how deeply that stillness holds you when you're face to face with confrontation. The Buddha said, "Better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace." Sometimes, that one word is no word at all, just presence, just awareness, just being. Focus on yourself, not to run from the world, but to move through it, untouched by what doesn't serve you. The deeper your stillness, the less you react. The less you react, the more clearly you see, and in that seeing, wisdom is born. Let your peace be the mirror, not to shame others, but to gently remind them that there is another way to live, another way to respond, another way to be. When you heal quietly, you transform loudly. And in choosing this way, you quietly become the strongest person in the room. What if your transformation didn't need to be seen, to be real? In a world obsessed with visibility, we're taught to believe that healing only counts if it's shared, posted, or proven. But true healing, deep, soul-level healing, is often invisible. It happens in silence, in solitude, in the small, quiet victories no one else will ever witness. The bamboo spends years growing underground before it ever pierces the surface, quiet, patient, hidden, preparing for a rise that no one saw coming. You do not have to announce your growth. You do not owe explanations for your absence, your boundaries, or your new calm. When you heal quietly, you transform loudly, not with words, but with presence. Your energy changes, your choices evolve, your very being begins to speak a language your past self could never have understood. And those around you will feel it, not because you told them, but because you became it. This is the way of the awakened. They do not rush to prove, they tend their inner work like sacred soil, watered with presence, shielded from noise, like roots gathering strength beneath the snow. Your progress may go unseen by the world, but it will never go unfelt by your spirit. Try this today. Celebrate a private victory, a moment when you chose differently, a thought you replaced with hope, a boundary you held with kindness. But don't tell a soul, just feel it. Own it in silence. This is how confidence is built, not from praise, but from quiet integrity. Ask yourself gently, am I healing or am I performing healing? Am I changing for truth or for applause. There is no shame in wanting to be seen, but the deepest transformations often come when you stop needing witnesses. When you change because your soul demands it, not because the world expects it. The Buddha said, "As a solid rock is not shaken by the wind, so the wise are not moved by praise or blame." Real growth does not tremble under silence, nor rise with recognition. It continues, steady, rooted, true. Focus on yourself, not for performance, but for practice. Let the world think you are the same. Let them speak of who you were. It doesn't matter, because transformation is not loud. It is cellular. It is sacred. And when the time is right, you will rise like bamboo. Suddenly, powerfully, beyond explanation. If you're not sure what to say, simply type, "My growth speaks silently." Lesson 9. Protect your energy like sacred fire. Why do you feel drained after being around certain people? Your energy is sacred, the quiet fire that fuels your focus, your peace, your healing. And yet too often, we give it away carelessly to people who do not value it, who do not honor it, who take not out of need, but out of habit, out of appetite for attention. Here's the truth. Not every hand that reaches for you deserves your flame. In Buddhist wisdom, your inner stillness is your refuge. Your energy is not infinite. It must be guarded with loving awareness. Like a candle lighting too many others without pause, you begin to fade, forgetting your own glow. You start to feel tired, unseen, hollow, and you wonder why. The answer lies in how often you say yes to what drains you, and how rarely you say yes to yourself. Generosity is beautiful, but it is not the same as self-sacrifice. There is no virtue in emptying yourself for those who refuse to fill themselves. Protecting your peace is not selfish. It is sacred discipline. A quiet fire does not apologize for burning gently. It simply remains. Try this today. Say no once. Not from pride, not from anger, but from deep respect for your energy. Then feel what that no protects. Feel the space it opens. Because your flame is precious, and you were never meant to let it burn out for those who would not keep you warm in return. Protect your energy. Feed the flame within. Feel how one single choice, one simple no, nourishes the flame within you. Ask yourself softly, am I being generous, or am I being depleted? There is a difference. One fills you with presence, the other erodes you quietly, in silence. You were never meant to carry every burden. You were never meant to explain your distance to those who never respected your closeness. Let it be. Let them wonder. Let your silence speak for you. The Buddha said, if you light a lamp for someone else, it will also brighten your path. But the lamp must have oil. The flame must be tended. You are not here to burn out. You are here to shine with intention. Focus on yourself, not to shut others out, but to remain lit from within. Your energy, your time, your presence. These are offerings, and offerings must be made with care, or they lose their sacred power. When you protect your energy, you teach the world how to treat it. When you guard your peace, you teach yourself how to remain whole. And slowly, without trying, people begin to notice. Your silence glows. Your absence speaks. Your peace becomes magnetic. Not because you gave more, but because, finally, you gave enough to yourself. So guard your fire, feed it, sit with it. And when you share it, let it be from overflow, never obligation. Because a sacred flame, once honored, can light the world without ever burning out. Lesson 10. Don't chase, become. Why do we so often chase what we're not ready to receive? Much of our suffering comes from reaching, from grasping desperately for something we believe will complete us. Love, success, attention, approval. But the quiet teachings of Buddhism remind us, don't chase, become. A ripe fruit does not run after the bee. It sweetens, it ripens, and the bee comes, not because the fruit begged, but because it became. There is a sacred patience in this. The tree does not rush to bloom. The mountain does not climb toward the clouds. It rises, steady, rooted, unmoved. And in its rising, the clouds gather, the winds shift, and life aligns around it, naturally. Not through force, not through chasing, but through being. When you focus on becoming instead of hunting, your energy changes. You stop needing, and you start embodying. You stop asking, how can I get it? And you begin to ask, how can I become the one who naturally attracts it? Whether it's peace, whether it's love, whether it's clarity or purpose, your work is not to run toward it, but to rise into it. Chasing is born from the illusion that you aren't enough, that you must earn what's already meant for you. But inner growth whispers another truth. The deeper your roots, the more life flows to you, not through effort, but through alignment. Try this today. Notice what you're chasing, not just the surface want, but the need beneath it. Ask yourself, what does my heart keep running after? Approval, safety, recognition? Because the moment you stop running, and instead become still enough to grow into the very thing you seek, you'll find it has been moving toward you all along. Then ask yourself, what kind of person naturally receives what I am seeking? Become that, water that version of yourself, and trust the rest to arrive in its own time. What if everything you've been longing for meets you the moment you finally stop reaching for it? What if the act of becoming is the greatest magnet of all? When you carry peace, peace finds you. When you move from love, love meets you. When you walk in worthiness, opportunities align, not because you begged for them, but because you embodied them. The Buddha said, what you think, you become. What you feel, you attract. What you imagine, you create. This is not magic, it's presence. It's energy. It's the quiet power of someone who has stopped running and started rising. So focus on yourself, not to escape, but to refine. Not to control outcomes, but to become the kind of soul that no longer needs to chase anything. And you will shock the world quietly, because your life will change without noise, without struggle, without permission. Like the mountain, simply rise, and let the clouds gather on their own. Lesson: your stillness is a sword. Most think power is in the noise, in action, reaction, domination. But deeper wisdom whispers otherwise. True power is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It sits still, steady, unshaken. And from that stillness, everything bends around it. A lake does not fight the stone thrown into it. It absorbs the ripple, then returns to calm. Your stillness is a sword, not because it cuts, but because it protects. In moments of conflict, when the world expects you to react, defend, or collapse, choose stillness, choose peace. The one who does not resist cannot be pierced. It confuses those who feed on chaos. They throw their arrows and find no target. They shout and hear only their own echo. The warrior of peace wins before the battle begins, not by force, but by refusing to play the same game. Their victory is internal, the quiet mastery of self. And that self, once anchored, cannot be shaken by the misunderstandings of others. Stillness is not weakness, it is not fear, it is not passivity, it is restraint, it is wisdom, it is strength given direction. A calm mind sees clearly, a still heart speaks truth. When you do not react, you choose, and that choice keeps you sovereign, untouchable, and yes, unsettling to a world built on impulse. Try this today. When something provokes you, pause. Do not strike back. Simply breathe. Watch. Let the other reveal themselves. Without your resistance, they face their own reflection. This is how peace disarms chaos, not by fighting it, but by refusing to feed it. Ask yourself, can I be still and strong at the same time? Can I remain unmoved, and yet fully alive? This is a power few understand, because the world teaches noise, but the path of the Buddha teaches clarity, presence, and mastery, not over others, but over yourself. Sometimes the loudest truth is said in silence. Sometimes the most powerful move is to stay calm when everything tempts you to break. Not because you're hiding your truth, but because your truth isn't afraid of being misunderstood. So be like the lake, reflect, don't resist, absorb, don't retaliate, and always return to your stillness, because that silence, that inner quiet, is the sound of mastery, the power that doesn't shock through force, but through peace. Bonus lesson: you become untouchable when you return to yourself. There is a place within you that never moves, even when the world trembles, even when your plans fall apart, even when others forget your worth. It is the still point, the silent center of a spinning top, unmoved by the speed of the spin. But somewhere along the way, you left it. You began chasing approval, trying to belong, proving yourself to those who never knew how to truly see, and it made you tired. Not because you did too much, but because you strayed too far from yourself, pulled in every direction, twisted by every opinion, drained by every role you felt you had to play. So what if you stopped? What if, instead of looking outward, you turned inward? What if you came home? The one who returns to their own heart becomes untouchable. Not unreachable, not cold, but deeply rooted. When you are rooted, no storm can uproot you. You may sway, but you do not fall. You may bend, but you do not break. Because you no longer seek shelter outside, you carry it within. Try this. Place one hand on your heart, one on your belly. Close your eyes, breathe deep, deeper, and whisper within, I've returned. Say it again, not with urgency, but with reverence. Feel those words land in the body. You are not a stranger to yourself. You are the home you have been searching for all along. He who knows his center cannot be pushed off balance. Most think power lies in dominance, influence, or perfection. But true power is present. When you live from your center, you do not chase. You do not beg. You do not shrink. You radiate, quietly, clearly, fully. Let today be your return. Not to who the world told you to be, but to who you truly are beneath it all. Your calm, your truth, your breath. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to explain it. Just become it. And in that becoming, you will shock the world, not with noise, but with unwavering peace. Ask yourself gently, what part of me have I abandoned while trying to be accepted? When the answer comes, don't run from it. Return to it. Love it. Reclaim it. That part of you is not waiting for applause. It's not waiting for validation. It's waiting only for you. Because the most powerful version of you is not the one who fights to be seen, but the one who no longer needs to be. You've already seen yourself. You've already come home. Silence is the language of the strong. True strength isn't loud, it's in silence, you meet your deepest truth. When you stop reacting to everything, you begin to truly hear yourself. And this is where real transformation begins. Letting go is an act of courage. Releasing what weighs you down is not weakness, it's wisdom. Holding on to what hurts only delays your healing. The moment you let go, you create space for peace to enter. Peace is louder than reaction. Peace is louder than reaction. Your calm in the middle of chaos is more powerful than any outburst. When you master your reactions, you free yourself from the grip of the outer world. This is how peace becomes your power. You don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't need to justify your peace, your path, or your healing. When you stop explaining yourself, you take your energy back. Your growth doesn't need to be understood, it only needs to be lived. Master yourself, or be mastered by the world. Either you direct your mind, or the world will do it for you. Emotional self-mastery gives you clarity and strength in every decision. The one who rules within can never be ruled from outside. Detach, not because you don't care, but because you do. Detachment isn't cold indifference, it's mature love. It's caring without controlling, loving without clinging. It's the highest form of freedom, to hold space without the need to own it. Stillness disturbs the unsettled. Your peace will feel like a threat to those who survive on chaos. Do not shrink. Your stillness is a mirror. It reflects back what others are not yet ready to face within themselves. When you heal quietly, you transform loudly. Not all progress can be seen. Deep, private healing alters your entire vibration. You don't need to announce your evolution, your presence will speak for you. Protect your energy like sacred fire. Not everyone deserves your light. Giving to everyone leaves you empty for yourself. Learn to say no. Not from anger, but from respect for your spirit. A flame that burns for all without pause will burn itself out. Don't chase, become. Stop running after outcomes. Focus on becoming the kind of person to whom those outcomes are naturally drawn. You don't attract what you beg for, you attract what you are aligned with. Your stillness is a sword. You don't have to defend yourself to win. Sometimes the most powerful move is no move at all. Inner calm is the sharpest edge against emotional chaos. You become untouchable when you return to yourself. When you no longer seek yourself in others, you become free. The moment you return to your center, nothing outside can shake you. This is where the world loses its power over you. There comes a time when the noise outside no longer deserves your attention. That time is now. You are not here to constantly explain, chase, or prove. The path of inner peace begins the moment you stop reaching outward and start returning inward. When you focus on yourself, not with selfishness, but with sacred intention, everything begins to align. Silently, powerfully, effortlessly. Stillness as rebellion. In a world that praises loud ambition, your stillness will feel like rebellion. And it should. Because stillness is not passivity, it is presence. Detachment is not escape, it is awakening. When you release the urge to control, to react, to impress, you step into a realm where life bends towards your energy, not your effort. As Zen teaches, the quieter you become, the more you can hear. So breathe. Reclaim your peace. Let your presence speak louder than your words. Let your silence be your proof. And remember, your highest power will always be found in the space where you no longer need to be seen, to be powerful. What part of you is waiting to return home quietly without the need for applause?